Today I'm sharing this article, which includes the skill selection, upgrade selection, and basic info for the top builds for the top used classes, the Sorcerer, Necro, and Rogue. So you can just pause the screen at any point, go back, read the info. I do have one comment on the Lightning Sorcerer. Personally, I do think that the Ball Lightning isn't that great to start, so you could start with the Hydra as an alternative. Also, Teleport is okay, but if you want really good defense at the start, I felt the Ice Shield was much better at the start. But otherwise, that is some basic info for the Lightning Sorcerer build. Next, we have the Ice Magic Sorcerer build. Once again, I personally didn't really do Ice. I did Pyro, Electric, and Hydra in my Sorcerer testing. Heard the Ice was very good. Personally, nobody killed faster than my Electric build, but once again, the Sorcerer was nerfed. I did the Necro in the server slam, so I really can't comment much on early gameplay for the Ice build, but here is how people are building the Ice Frost Nova build. Next up, we have some info on the Fire Mage Sorcerer build. Noticed a lot more people using this in the server slam versus the early access and the open beta. No, the Hydra did definitely get nerfed. Definitely not as OP, but like the Corpse Explosion for the Necro, most people were saying the Hydra is still very good and not complaining with its current status. Here we have a recommended best enchantment and best legendary aspect for the Sorcerer. Once again, this is a news article I'm sharing, and I will have my personal opinions for the classes within a few days, starting with the Necro. Next up, we have the blood build for the Necromancer. Now, personally, in my testing, when I did the blood build, I stuck with the blood lance and didn't do a lot of testing on the bone spear because I didn't test the bone build, but they're recommending the bone spear. It might be worth trying out the blood lance as well. I also don't see the point of increasing maximum essence by 15 for this build, since it's not very essence dependent over the cost of losing 5 skeleton mages with the legendary aspect. Personally, I'd have them actually gain essence for me, maybe on their attacks. That's what I was running. It is interesting increasing it by 15, but I don't really see this build being very essence dependent, especially with Iron Maiden not costing anything. So it might be worth considering also running the gain essence and having 5 skeleton mages versus having no skeleton mages and only 15 increased maximum essence. Next, we have an example of the top build, Decompose, for the Necromancer. Now, I personally disagree with some of the points in this top build as well. I would rather the Reapers create corpses. The more corpses, the better. So I'd rather not have the increased damage on the Reapers. I just want as many corpses as possible. Also, I'd rather my mages give me essence versus the increased damage for staying alive for 5 seconds, but that's not a bad second choice. Third, did I say I disagreed with a couple things? Disagree with almost everything on this build. The most important legendary aspect in the Necromancer Corpse Explosion build is having the ability to trigger all corpses when you use Mist. That legendary aspect is god tier for this build, because then you don't need to have Corpse Explosion in your skills and you gain the ability to use Mist. Personally, I like Golem as my replacement skill for not having to have Corpse Explosion in the skill tree, because that allows me to group up enemies, aggro all enemies together, and then just straight annihilate them with Corpse Explosion and Blight. Otherwise, this is a pretty good basic information for the build. I will have my endgame up first for the Necromancer, and I think mine is going to be a lot better than this, but this is some basic info that you can use for the Decompose Necromancer build. Next up, we have what a lot of people are using for the Bone Necromancer build. Now, like I said, I tested Blood and I tested Decompose. So I really don't have much of opinion. This is what other people are running. Once again, I will have all my builds up within a few days. Next up, we have the Rogue and the Shadow Rogue build for the Rogue. Here is some basic info on that. Personally, I created a very interesting rapid fire trap build setup for the Rogue, which I'm very interested in seeing how it performs end game, because it performed insanely well with early game. Now, the Shadow build, though, can deal immense damage, and I think 1v1, especially for boss fights and world fights, this would be the better build. But I will have my Hunter endgame build up for sure within a few days. The Poison build for the Rogue, once again, I only really decided to build a rapid fire trap evasion build for the Rogue, which mainly focuses around traps, slowing down enemies, debuffing, and basically spamming rapid fire, like generating essence and just unleashing hell with rapid fire. So I really didn't test the poison build much, but this is how other people are building it. Next, we have a build I didn't even know existed, the Cold Imbuement build for the Rogue. This one is kind of interesting. Not sure how much I like this build over the other builds, especially Shadow and spamming rapid fire, but it is an interesting build, and if you want to try the Cold Imbuement Rogue build, this is how other people are building it. Lastly, we have some of the best legendary aspects for the Rogue and best stats for the Rogue. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment, share. It helps others find the video. I hope this helped.